this part 5 video of antihypertensive drugs, we will discuss about the pharmacology of vasodilators like hydralazine and nitroprusside. We had discussed about the introduction to the hypertension in part 1 video, classification and pharmacology of diuretic in part 2 video, and pharmacology of drugs acting on renin-angiotensin system on part 3 video, calcium channel blockers and sympatholytics pharmacology in part 4 video. So let's start with the next class of antihypertensive drug vasodilator, that is hydralazine. This is a directly acting vasodilator, and the mechanism of action of vasodilator are: the hydralazine molecules will combine with the receptor in the endothelial arterioles and they will release the nitric oxide, and this nitric oxide will produce relaxation of vascular smooth muscle, and this relaxation will reduce the total peripheral resistance and it will cause greater decrease in diastolic than the systolic pressure. So, it will produce a reducing BP. So, that is the mechanism of vasodilator hydralazine. Now, coming to the adverse drug reactions, it will produce facial flushing, conjunctival injections, throbbing headache, dizziness, palpitation, nasal stiffness, fluid retention, edema, etc. Angina and myocardial infarction may be precipitated in patients with the coronary artery diseases. Postural hypotension is not prominent because of little action on vein. Paresthesia, tremor, muscle cramp are rarely peripheral neuritis. These are the important adverse drug reactions of vasodilator hydralazine. Now coming to the uses, this is used as a second line alternative drugs for hypertension only in combination with the diuretics and or with the beta blocker for the patient not achieving the target BP with the first line drugs. This is one of the preferred antihypertensive drug during the pregnancy. It is used in management of congestive heart failure due to the arteriolar dilator action. Now another important vasodilator is Minoxidil. This is also direct relaxation, which will produce direct relaxation of arterial smooth muscle with a little effect on the venous capitans. Actually, the Minoxidil is a prodrug which will be converted into active metabolites with by the sulfate conjugation after the metabolism phase 2 conjugation. So, which is an opener of ATP operated potassium channel. So, by opening the potassium channel, it may produce hyperpolarization of smooth muscle. So, thereby it will produce a powerful vasodilatory action. So, that is the mechanism of action of Minoxidil. They will convert into the active form by sulfate conjugation, and which will act as an opener of ATP operated potassium channel, and they will act by hyperpolarizing the smooth muscles. They will produce powerful vasodilator. Now coming to the uses of vasodilator like Minoxidil, it is preliminary used as an antihypertensive, but they are rarely used in severe and life threatening hypertension. But these are mainly used for the treatment of alopecia. There is to improve the hair growth. Oral Minoxidil will increases the growth of body hair, and applied on application topically, it will promote the hair growth in male pattern baldness and alopecia areata. So these are the uses of Minoxidil. Now another important vasodilator is sodium nitroprusside. This is a rapidly and consistently acting vasodilator which have brief duration of action 2 to 5 minutes, so that the vascular tone can be titrated with the rate of IV infusion. And the mechanism of action of nitroprusside is the endothelial cells and the red blood cells may other cells also will split the nitroprussides into the nitric oxide. So which will relaxes the smooth muscle and relaxes the both resistance and capacitance vessel. They will reduces the total peripheral resistance and cardiac output by decreasing venous return. So the myocardial work is reduced. So we can use for the treatment of hypertension. Now important adverse drug reactions of nitroprussides are vasodilatory action, may produce palpitation, nervousness, vomiting, perspiration, pain in abdomen, weakness, disorientation, lactic acidosis, etc. Now the uses are, it mainly used to produce controlled hypertension in refractory congestive heart failure. So that is the use of sodium nitroprusside. Now another class of antihypertensive is adrenergic neuron blocking agents. So as we mentioned before, the adrenergic neurotransmitters are responsible for the action on adrenergic receptors. So by blocking these neurons and by blocking the vesicular monoaminotransferase enzyme or transporter, we can gradually deplete and degrade the catecholamines by monoamino oxygenase enzyme. So by inhibiting this neuron end or block adrenergic neurons, we can use these kind of drugs for the treatment of hypertension. Now another adrenergic neuronic blocker agent is guanethidine polar compound, which is taken into the adrenergic nerve ending by active amine transport, has three important facets of action. They will displace noradrenaline from the storage granules. They will inhibit the nerve impulse coupled with the release of noradrenaline. They will engage and block the noradrenaline uptake mechanism at the axonal membrane. So this is not used nowadays because of its side effects. So that is the adrenergic neuron blockers like guanethidine as well as reserpine. Now these are the some drugs that should be avoided during the pregnancy. The important antihypertensive that should be avoided in pregnancy are ACE inhibitors and angiotensin receptor blocking agent, because there is a risk of fetal damage and growth retardation. And another important antihypertensive that should be avoided in pregnancy is diuretics. Due to reduced blood volume, it may accumulate the uterino-placental perfusion deficit, and they will increase the risk of fetal wastage, placental infarct and miscarriage and stillbirth. And non-selective beta blockers should be avoided in case of pregnancy. Propranolol has been implicated to cause low birth weight and decreased placental size and neonatal bradycardia and hypoglycemia. And sodium nitroprusside also should be avoided during the pregnancy because they are contraindicated in eclampsia. Now these are the some important antihypertensive drugs that are safer during the pregnancy. First one is hydralazine, which is an vasodilator which is safe during the pregnancy. Then methyl-dopa, which is an important drug which is the safest drug in case of pregnancy. Then dihydropyrimidine like calcium channel blocking agent, if used they should be discontinued before the labor as they weaken the uterine contraction. Then cardioselective beta blockers with those with the intrinsic activity like atenolol, metoprolol, pindalol, they should be used if no other drug of choice is available during the pregnancy. And prazosin and clonidine, which is an alpha receptor blocking agent, alpha adrenergic receptor blocking agent, which will provide postural hypertension which can be avoided. So these are some important drugs which are safer during pregnancy, antihypertensive drugs which are safer during pregnancy. Now these are the classification or the first line antihypertensive drugs for different condition. In heart failure, suitable for diuretic is suitable for older patients and should be avoided in gout and family history with the gout. Then these are the some first line antihypertensive drugs and their cases where can be used and which is suitable for and which are to be avoided during this drug. So that is all about the antihypertensive drugs. In 5-part video we had discussed the introduction, classification, pharmacology of diuretics, pharmacology of drugs acting on renin-angiotensin system, then calcium channel blocking agent and central sympatholytic agents which are used as an antihypertensive, and finally in part 5 video we had discussed the vasodilatory action or vasodilator which are used as an antihypertensives. So hope it is clear. Thank you for watching this video.